Welcome to 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about life with invisible illnesses, hosted by two guys living with multiple sclerosis. Coming to you from the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, I'm your co-host Nix, and with me on this ride is Terry, a Londoner who calls Ontario home. We're so happy you're here with us as we continue to try and normalize a life that is anything but. So let's get into it. What's up, Warriors? Welcome back to the show for another week. Glad you're here with us. Terry, my friend, as always, it's good to see you.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you too.
It's good to be seen. Believe me, I've been dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, all internet related stuff. I've had the internet company, as we know, if you watched a bunch of the last episodes, you've seen that I've been lagging, as Terry continues to point out. But all good now. I think I figured it out, so we should be good.
Lagging mentally or
Yeah,
like
my internet connection is exactly the same as my neurological connection. Sometimes it just doesn't work, despite my best efforts.
that's okay, dude. You always ask me if I had any falls.
Uh-huh.
Guess what? I had a fall. I had a fall right here, right before
Oh,
we started.
were you so excited to see me
Yeah.
that you just launched forward in your chair?
Dude, honestly, this chair swivels and I grabbed the chair and I know, how to transfer and I guess I swiveled it. So I sat on the edge of the chair and I lost balance and I'm like, it's either easier just to go down and come back up.
Oh, okay.
But when I was down there, my back spazzing and all that stuff. And
Are you good now?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, all right.
At first I was like, shit. And then I got up on my chair. I'm like, let's do this. Let's get this over with. And then,
That's what you said. I was like, Terry's motivated for today's show.
and then Anita comes on and we're talking and now I got my energy back. I'm good. But bro,
Good.
it must be the Archivist. I know I told you last time we talked, I don't really feel much, but it
Mm-hmm.
took a week and a half till I started feeling the fatigueness. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to say, people play it. They play it because they can. Oh, I have fatigueness, the Archivist, and because I took the second half dosage and nothing really happened to me. I thought
Okay.
I was fine. And then this just hit me. I think like probably a day after I talked to Anita last week, I started to feel fatigued, and in the morning is when it hits you.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up and I'm like, dude, it's real, And then I just suck it up. I'm like, nah, it's okay. It's just me. I didn't get proper sleep. Nah, it's real. Half the day you're fatigued, and yeah, I'm okay. Other than that, you know what I mean? I'm just true to the fatigueness now.
I got you. Now you're getting it. So tell us about Anita since she's here, buddy.
You don't want to hear anything more about me?
No, I've heard enough. I think you're just as all over the place, scatterbrained as we love you to be.
Oh,
So,
dude. Okay, so Anita has cats, so we're gonna see some of her cats or one cat. I'm not sure exactly, but she is a paraclimber who happens to have MS, which is
yay.
crazy because she's not only is she a paraclimber dude, she's a coach and she's cool because last time I talked to her, she was really talking to me about why don't you do this? So she understands how to coach people with certain ailments, certain disabilities. If someone's leg doesn't work, she's like, okay, so let's try this. So, other than the fact that how many medals do you have? Uh, this is me being scatterbrained right now. Not even a proper
I got
introduction.
2 this season out of 3 comps. So I
This
got
season.
two World Cup silvers. They look like this because I guess you don't follow, but they look like this.
Oh, nice.
Pretty heavy.
Congratulations.
So I went to 3 competitions this year, got 2 silvers. I think got 6 in total over the 6 years or something. Aiming for
So
more, still haven't got the gold. Gold's still to come. Lots of silvers and yeah, things are changing with the Olympics and stuff. So um, yeah, paraclimbing is quite a new thing if people don't know what it is. I know you had a guy on before. It doesn't mean paraplegic. It doesn't mean partially disabled. A paraclimber is somebody that has effectively a diagnosed, recognizable condition at the competition level that I climb at. You can be a paraclimber if you want to be called a paraclimber if you have something like autism or dyslexia or deafness.
They have sub classifications,
Yeah,
right?
we have 10 classes.
Okay.
Okay. I'm in something called RP, which is limited power, range, and stability. So things like multiple sclerosis, scoliosis, car crashes, cerebral palsy, things that affect your neurological or strength or balance. And there's 3 levels. I'm in level 3 because I'm not as bad as the person in level 2, and the person in level 1 is normally in a wheelchair. But MS actually is the only condition at competition level that goes across all 3 categories. So we've got 2 people with MS in the worst condition. There's a girl in, I think, has got MS in class 2, and this year, I think there's been 7 girls on the circuit, of which 5 of them have MS.
Oh,
One of
wow.
them's from one of them's from America, one's from Switzerland, I'm from UK, one's from Brazil, one's from Germany. I've had MS since 2009, and the girl that joined this year, I think she's 23, and she was just diagnosed 2 years ago, but had been climbing like all her life. So she's kind of coming to terms with what MS means. Whereas I've kind of finally worked out why I don't do things because of how it flares the condition up, and why I want to sit in the sun to get the rays and then run inside and throw a bucket of water on me so I don't actually get fatigued.
I know that all too well. Yeah.
I know that Terry's in Canada. You're in America, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in the States. I'm in Pennsylvania.
So do you know
Okay.
that person with MS that's in the States?
Yeah, I know everyone, Terry. That's
Bro,
how it works
Yeah.
down here. That's how it works down here.
I feel like
Yeah.
I didn't give her a proper enough introduction. First of all, you beat cancer too, right? Please tell me I'm
Jeez.
right.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
I'm in remission basically. I'm just waiting for the results to come back. I got colon cancer in November 2022, and they cut out the right-hand side of my colon in January last year. And paraclimbers were broken, so I wasn't allowed to do anything until May, and then I went to a World Cup in June in
Oh,
Austria,
man.
as you do.
In Australia too. How long's the
And
flight from where you are to Australia, UK, right? Because I
this
didn't even give her a proper introduction. So I feel like I've known her before. I'm like, introduce her yourself, bro.
We're learning. That's okay, Terry. But
So
so how many climbing events? I know the last climber we had on talked about several different climbing events. How many climbing events are available to the classes in the World Cup? Is it 3 or 4, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, we get 3 World Cups every year, but I
Okay.
think they're going to try and put more on now we've made the Olympics. That was announced in June to go to LA in 2028. So if you can get to LA in 2028, you can come see all the paraclimbers climb.
Nice.
Every other year, so next year, we have the World Championships, which will be in Seoul in South Korea. So that gives us 4
Wow.
comps next year. And there's already discussions about whether new countries will host more World Cups next year because they need to grow the community. We've kind of
Oh,
got,
absolutely.
yeah, because the weird thing is that paraclimbing, although normal climbing's been going on since 1990, say, paraclimbing itself only started around 2012.
Okay.
I started competing in 2017, so only 5 years afterwards. And the classification system that we're assessed under, you have to physically present documentation that says you have MS. You have to present documentation that says why your leg's the way it is, not necessarily why is it missing, but if your leg's still there and your muscles are removed from, say, being a military person, you need to explain why those muscles don't work. You can't just say, I've got no calf muscles. It's not that kind of classification. So you produce a load of paperwork that says, in our category, are you relapsing remitting? Are you primary progressive? How does it affect you? So for me, I have sensory issues down the left-hand side, which is this side. I can't see the color red in my left eye. I can't feel things in my left hand and my left foot. I was showing Terry last time that I can't do a pistol squat. I can't squat down on my left leg and then push up and stand up. It doesn't work, but it works on my right leg. So I can't point my toes, my calves don't work, and for some reason my quads don't engage. If I'm sitting on my ass, kind of like I am now, I can't stand up. So I'm an upper body climber. I use all of my upper body to climb. So climbing works for me primarily because I'm not walking.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. That was my next question. Was how do you adapt to the challenges of not being able to use your calf to push up and not really be able to feel your left side? That's got to be pretty
well,
pretty interesting.
This is the weird. Yeah, this is the weird thing because I use crutches to move about. I don't use a wheelchair. I use crutches. I can I can lift my legs. It's like having effectively no push through my toes. So I'm like flat-footed when I walk.
Mm-hmm. So
when I propel motion, I can't stand on my toes and stop myself at a curb. So I use the crutches as the brakes.
Okay.
And it's quicker for me to actually go forward on crutches than it is to walk next to an able-bodied person because they're just walking like it's nothing. And I'm like, every move is like lifting feet up and down. And you can physically feel it, can't you? You can physically tell prior to MS and after MS, you know that walking forward is like going up the stairs. It's like, it's effort.
Yeah.
There was some research done that said that for every time you lift your leg and you put it down, you're lifting twice your body weight and you're putting it down. But climbing, you're hanging. You're not walking, you're hanging. And you only put your feet on to stabilize yourself. And then you lift your foot up and you put your foot on. And then I pull through my arms to generate the upward motion. So
makes sense.
Yeah, this is kind of why I effectively changed my Rolls-Royce job to be a climbing job, because people didn't understand why I could climb. And a lot of people can't understand RP. They're like, everybody's in a wheelchair and they can climb, but they can't walk. And we're like, yeah, because we're using our hands. We're climbing on our hands. We're hanging on our shoulders and we're placing our feet.
Makes total sense to me.
Yeah, if I put my heel on my foot, I can push down like that to generate motion. But I can't physically stand up unless I pull through my arms to lift my body up above my hips. So
I totally get that. And the crutch, I told you this last time, if I used the crutches, I would have been still walking, would have still gave me that extra muscle or whatnot, because I had the exact same thing. My toes and I couldn't push.
Yeah.
So, and I used the cane and the cane wasn't doing it. I should have been using those crutches that you showed me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether crutches. So you have invisible conditions, and my category is effectively an invisible condition. You can't physically tell what my condition is by looking at me. I can go in a competition and use my crutches to walk all the way over to the stage and then drop the crutches and climb the wall and then come down, sit on the floor, wait for my legs to get their energy back, get up, get on the crutches and go off. Competition's over and then I start walking around and people go, but you're not using the crutches. I went, yeah, because I don't need to use my legs. I can now use all the energy I've got. It's quite difficult to open doors when you've got crutches.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use the crutches to climb the wall? Why don't you strap them on your back and then, I don't know. That was so funny.
But I completely get what you're saying, because that's how I use my wheelchair. I use it as a tool to continue and extend my day. If I don't
Yeah.
use my wheelchair, I get about 20 minutes worth of walking and I have to go home for the rest of the day. But if I use it, I can go as far as I need to go and then I can walk from there if I, so I totally understand. But yeah, I'm sure you
Yeah.
get a lot of side eyes like, oh, wait a minute. Now all of a sudden she can't use her legs.
No, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, especially when somebody's got their leg missing, it's obvious. Somebody that's got their arm missing, it's obvious. Somebody that's blind and climbs with somebody calling out the positions of the hand and footholds, it's obvious. Put me on the wall. So we do competitions, like gyms do local competitions. Bouldering is when you only go 4 or 5 meters and there's no ropes. So you've got to climb to the top, and we have to climb down. People with MS effectively have to climb down. Most able-bodied people just jump off the top and land on the ground. Yes, it's going to damage your spine and your knees over life, but people just jump off the wall. Now, when there's 30 problems to do in 3 hours, I only have 15 problems worth of energy because I get fatigued really fast or my limbs give out. So the more I climb, the weaker everything becomes. As you know, if you're walking up the stairs,
Of
you might
course.
as well put a slide on so you can slide back down without walking. It's easier. So I only have 15 climbs in me, and it's very frustrating because I have to accept that if I go into a competition after 15, I've got nothing left in me because they only hold a competition on one day for 3 hours.
Jeez.
But some competitions are held over the weekend. So that means I can go and do 15 on Friday, rest on Saturday, and go and do another 15 on Sunday and get a better score.
Okay.
But international competitions is really bad because and everybody has their own isms. I call them isms. Everybody have their own issues, but our competitions, let's say Monday we get classified. Tuesday we do the qualifications, which are 2 routes. They're normally finished by about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I'll go back to the hotel and sleep. And then I will sleep most of the following day, not leave the apartment, completely rest if I make the final, and then go into the final about 5 o'clock the following day. And we get put in isolation. So we have to get into this locked area with no phones or technology. And we have to be in there within this hour period. Otherwise we get disqualified. So you have to make that hour.
You have
And
to
then
explain that. Why do they have to isolate you?
Because when we go into a final in a competition in climbing, they've built the wall and they've put all the holds on the wall, and it's a
Okay.
15-meter wall with the rope. And what you do is when you make the finals, you go into a building called isolation, and they lock you down. It's like being in a bunker. They lock you down and say, you can't leave now until we announce you to come on the stage and announce you're in your category and you'll be climbing in an hour's time. And then they put you back in isolation. Otherwise, we can go look at the wall and we can go look at the route.
Of
Okay.
course.
And
All
we
right,
can
that
work
makes sense.
out which holds we want to warm up on.
Of course.
That makes sense.
So-
Okay. That's kind of what I thought, but I'm like, there may be another reason.
No, I mean, this is what I find fascinating about climbing is, like I said to Terry, I can't think, and I know somebody might do
I can't think either.
as a listener, I can't think of any sport that you do vertically or any sport where your field of play is different in qualifications and finals and every single time you compete. You get one route, one go. And it's the best you can do in that 6 minutes. Tennis,
Wow.
badminton, athletics, swimming, skydiving, everything you do is the same. But in climbing, which is why I like coaching it, it's left, right, up, down, different colors, different holds. You don't know what you're going to get. If we go to the Olympics, they'll slap some holds on the wall and we're like, yeah, I've never seen them before. Don't know how to hold them.
Now, do you find that technique of changing the playing field keeps it as fair as it can across the board for all the contestants? Is that like a good equalizer that nobody knows what they're going to be doing when they get there until they're sitting at the bottom or standing at the bottom looking at it?
Okay, so this is my dyslexia. I've got auditory processing disorder. So what you actually said to me was, is it fair that the wall is changed every single time? No, it's not. The point of climbing is it's a puzzle. Imagine going on a golf course. Yeah, you got 18 holes on a golf course, and you went to your local golf course yesterday and you whacked the ball on the holes that the pitch or the field of play. And then you go back tomorrow and they actually moved the starting point and the end point. They switched the whole thing round. You then have to rethink how to whack the ball, which way to whack it, how hard to hit it. It's a puzzle. And that's what climbing is. It's a puzzle. It's, have you trained enough on the makes of holds? Now, climbing holds have brand names. So in the UK, we have brands of holds that you don't have in America and you don't have in Canada.
Oh.
So when I go to competitions in Europe, especially in International Federation of Sports Climbing, they have a catalogue of which holds are on the circuit for that season. So
Wow.
I go to the local walls and look in the catalogue and go, oh, that one's on the wall, I'm going to learn how to hold it. Oh, that one's on the wall, I'm going to learn how to hold it. So if I go to a competition and that hold's on the wall, I can go, yeah, that's easy, I already know how to hold that one. If other competitors choose not to do that, then I've done my research. If they have done their research, then that hold isn't different for me or Terry. We can both hold it because we both learned it. What we don't know is the orientation in which they put it on the wall. Did they put it upside down? Did they put it the right way up? Did they angle it? So climbing is a puzzle. It's like a Rubik's Cube. It's here's all these holds on the wall. And can you hold them on that angle of the wall? Because the walls aren't straight. They overhang. So the whole you climb on this side. But that's how good we are. But you go into a local gym or a local climbing wall and all the walls are straight. Most of the walls are straight. So they're not really challenging. It's the hold. It's the make of the hold, the shape of the hold that makes the puzzle, not the angle of the wall.
So that's called a hold, what you grab. It's called a hold. I guess I should be knowing this stuff, so I'm learning from her.
No, it's okay. I think she just went out to grab one.
She screws them in her wall.
Yeah, probably. You don't know. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
So-
that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah. What
So
I
these
know.
are holds.
Okay.
They have a big T-nut hole that goes through the front, goes through the ply and drills onto the wall. And if the wall's flat, the hold is flat. So that's that orientation. I can hold it this way and we call that a jug. It's just like a cup of tea, a handle. But if the wall's angled like that, I then can't hold it in this position. I have to move my body because effectively the angle's changed. And if I'm hanging here, my body's hanging this way vertically.
Right.
So holds are made. These ones are Unleashed. These are from a friend of mine. He makes these holds. So I also contact the hold companies and say, can I buy some of your holds? So I've got them at home.
That's great.
So
But I had no idea, and this is, forgive my ignorance, but I had no idea that there was this much. It seems just as much mental as it is actually climbing. I'd like the physical component. It feels like
oh,
it's
yeah, it is.
just as much mental effort put in. So that's gonna be challenging for somebody who, like us, has brain fog. So
I love how she said it was it's like a puzzle.
It is a puzzle.
Now,
But
like,
that's what I like about it. This is why I like climbing as somebody with my condition. Like the reason why I like climbing is I can't run around a badminton court anymore. I can't run the 100 meters. I can't cycle the bike. I can't run down the road. It's repetitive. It's the same thing. What I can do is get in the car, go to the gym, get a cup of coffee, sit down or sit in your wheelchair, look at the wall and go, I'm not ready. So I'm going to go sideways. I'm just going to walk sideways. And if I can't hold the holds or I don't have enough strength in me, I just go from left to right. If I'm feeling like I've got energy, then I will start to go up. If I feel that I can't hold the holds because I can't feel them, then I climb down. If I want to be completely safe and I have a friend with me, then I will go on ropes, which means that I can climb as high as I want. And if I fall off, I just swing on the rope all the way down to the ground.
Isn't that what you did, Terry, with the ropes?
Yeah, but she's talking about she doesn't use ropes, so she can't go up. She'll just go sideways. And I'm
It's
like,
the,
yo,
yeah, I mean, it's like looking at the checkered boards behind your head. You've got black, black, red, red, black, black. So I can go black, black, red, red, black, black. All I need is 6 feet on the bottom and I can go left to right, and I can check my hand-eye coordination, knowing that my MS means that I'm off this much between my eyes and the ends of my fingers and my feet. Every
Wow,
morning, I'm
so
off.
you're calibrating yourself.
Correct.
That's cool.
So I try and go in the gym every other day to use climbing as physio, because you probably know that when you get up in the morning, if you're wobbly, if your eyes aren't working, if your sensory's not working, if your touch isn't working, then you're going to twat the cup that you've got the coffee in. It's going to go flying along the kitchen table.
Mhm.
If I put my glasses on and I'm rubbing them, I'm like, oh, my glasses are dirty, they're smudgy and stuff. It's not my glasses, it's my eyes. But I can go in a climbing wall and I can put my hand on something and I can hold it. And then I can feel and find something else, and I can weight the holds, and then I can put my feet on. So when you climb and you put your feet on the holds, you use your big toe. You always stand on your big toe. You never stand on the ball of the foot, you never stand on your little toe, and you never stand on the heel of the foot. You always stand on your big toe. So it allows me to, it's like playing darts, trying to put my foot on the hold. If I don't put my big toe on the hold, then I'll slip off. But going into the climbing wall every other day allows me to actually get that hand-foot synchronization. And I actually end up walking out of the gym straight. I go in wonky and I walk out straight. And I do find that I walk straight for about 3 days and then I go wonky again.
so that's another thing. We were talking, and usually, like myself, I wake up, I'm off. I need like a few hours to get settled before I start getting my energy back. And then all of a sudden, okay, I have energy. I can transfer easily. I can, you know what I mean? You,
Mhm.
it's opposite. You wake up, you can walk in a straight line, and as the day goes by. Oh my God. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. I cannot believe I just did that. That was such a brain fog right there. When I wake
What?
up, I'm good. I have full energy.
I'm not.
You're not. Oh my
I'm not.
God. Wow, was that a fog and a half? So when I wake up, I'm full energy like any other MSer. And you and I were talking about this. You wake up and you're like, no, I need a few hours before I can start walking in a straight line. I'm like, really? Don't you have all your energy in the morning? But
What are you like, Nick? How do you work?
It honestly, it depends on the day. Some days I wake up and you wouldn't be able to tell that I'm in as much pain as I am, and I have full control over everything. And then other days I can't get off the couch. So it's really a crapshoot. And
What
I
kind of
just
MS have you got?
the Nick type. Um no, I heard someone somewhere said it uh the classification of MS is only for the insurance company. Every single person has a different type. So I like to say I have my type.
Yeah.
I at no days, there are no days where I feel like I don't have it. Like there's no days I feel good, but some days are very tolerable and some other days are not so much. So those are the brave face days that Terry and I talk about, where you kind of got to lie your way through those days to make it.
so what would your doctor say that you have with
Have you got
MS?
relapse and remitting?
Yeah, either that or secondary progressive. I don't know. It depends on which doctor I ask. I have two of them. So
Okay. How long you had it?
since 2013.
What about you, Tony?
2012,
2012.
2008.
What was your
Don't put me on the spot.
No,
2000.
So originally I was told I had a migraine.
Okay.
Mm, okay.
Then I was told I could have had a stroke.
That's common. Yeah.
And they also, by the time they diagnosed me in 2009, they said I actually could have had it back in 1996.
Yeah. That's,
But
That sounds right.
that makes sense because
go on.
I went back through my pediatric records and I was complaining of stuff as a teenager that were symptoms of MS, but they were just kind of brushed off because, they're growing pains or, you'll grow out of it or whatever. So, but looking backwards, I was complaining about my leg, complaining about the hug, so.
Mine was, I can't see very well out my left eye.
Me too. That's my first actual symptom that got me diagnosed was neuritis, optic neuritis. So
Yeah, mine too.
Yep.
I got sent to a place called Nuffield Hospital. They did some funky eye test, like pin lights, and they were trying to make me press buttons to see if I could see the lights. It's a bit of a bugger when you go for eye tests because I need glasses, and they're like, "You're not pressing the button." I'm like, "I can't see it." And they're like, "Well, that's no good. I can't give you an eye test." I went, "Well, then I have to come back. I can't just fix MS because you want to give me an eye test."
Yeah, right.
And then, so I went for this eye test. Asian doctor sat me down. He went, "Yeah, you're unlikely to have MS. You're Asian, you're left-handed, you're female, you live near the equator. You're unlikely to get MS." Following day, fell over and got MS.
Wow.
I was at work, just working on a computer at a computer desk. I used to wear what we call bother boots, like military sort of big Doc Martin type boots with laces.
Okay.
Got in the car, drove an hour north, and as I'm going up the motorway, I'm thinking my foot feels dead. My shoes must be really tight. My left foot feels dead. So I started to try and undo the lace, which is the clutch that you push in UK. You push your left foot in to change the clutch, to change the gear. Your right foot does the accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pushing the clutch in, trying to undo my lace, and I got to my destination. I opened the driver's door and I fell out the car. So then I just crawled all the way around the car onto the pavement. Rang somebody to come and get me, and I just went, "I can't stand up." Didn't stop me going to the festival that I had intended to go to. I'd got there on the Friday, and I was like, "I'm not going to the festival."
What was the
So
festival?
I went to the festival on Saturday and Sunday, wasn't drinking, and it was like being drunk. I was ping-ponging and walking diagonally and tripping over the grass and all this sort of stuff and trying to hold on to stuff. People kept saying, "You're drunk." I'm like, "I'm not drunk. I haven't had anything."
Were you not freaking out? Were you not freaking out? What's going on with me? When you said you fell out of the car and you crawled up, what the hell? I don't know.
Well,
Man.
no,
We're
because
different type of people.
it just felt like pins and needles. It wasn't. It really just felt like a dead foot. So I just thought, oh, I just let my foot calm down. And as the relapse or the flare up was settling down, everything started working again.
When you say dead, do you mean sleeping foot?
Yeah, it's like completely dead.
Okay.
Like you've been sat on your foot all day and you stand up and you put your foot down and it goes.
It was asleep. I don't say dead foot. I mean, I guess maybe that's just another terminology I'm lost with, but it was asleep. That's what you thought. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And
It was a
then
dead foot.
went into hospital, bank holiday, no consultants, sent me away. Can't do anything. It's a weekend. Came back home, did exactly the same, brain fog, went back into another hospital on the same day, still no consultant, sent me home. Went to the doctors. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, just go home. 5 days later, something's not right. Refused to leave the hospital, doctor's surgery. Went to the hospital, it was a Polish doctor, put me through all the standard tests, took me into an MRI, student did the spinal tap, came out and went, "Yeah, you got MS." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And that was it. It didn't, it gave me an answer, but because I'd already had the optical neuritis test, it was like, well, it explains everything, but it took me 6 months to effectively start walking again, and I was crawling around the house and couldn't feel things, dropping things on my foot. It was like being drunk and having a stroke.
Mm.
But now I manage it. Now I know if I climb like I've been poorly for the last 2 weeks, so I've been really weak, and the depression's got worse, and the frustrations got worse about not being able to drive the car, not being able to get out of the house, not being able to see people. But now I'm feeling a bit better. I need to get back on the wall. I need to climb. I need to get the endorphin kick. And no, I can't walk a straight line, but climbing's not a straight line. It's whichever way you want to go. So therefore, I can't go wrong, which is why I like it. There's no rules.
When you were diagnosed with MS, did you know what MS was? Have you heard of it before that?
Yeah. My mum had sort of it's really weird. I don't know how you explain MS to other people. And I don't know if the way that I say it is correct, but you can go to a therapist for depression and anxiety. But the way that I explain MS to other people is when your body attacks itself and it implodes. And what it's done is instead of it exploding like depression or anxiety, your body just attacks itself. It's not hereditary, and anybody can get MS through stress. So your body attacks itself and it eats away the coating around the myelin, which is around the nerves that operates your body and your six senses. So I say to people, it's like going away from your house for 3 weeks and you come back and the rat's in the wall and he's eating away at the electrical cable. You flick the switch and the light doesn't work, and therefore that part of my body doesn't work. But MS is when your body attacks itself, it implodes. But anybody can get it. There's no right or wrong about who can get it. So I was doing a lot at the time, and I was up and down the motorway and working and running my body ragged and not getting enough sleep. And I just say that MS is when my body attacked itself and it imploded. And yeah, I've got 3 scars in my head and 4 in my spine, and they affect certain parts of my body that don't work the way they used to. And I'm left-handed, so now I've had to learn to do everything right-handed.
Oh, wow.
I totally agree with you. When I used to say it's not, and I'm not going to say any other way, but it's not through genetics that we get MS, I believe that. But it's really hard to believe when you meet people and you find out that their brother, mother, and son also has MS. It's like, whoa. And I get it. It's just really rare that that happened, really coincidental. But I agree with you that I don't think it's genetics. I think, again, I might piss off a lot of people saying this, but I do think it's stress related, and everyone's body relates to stress a different way. You can break a fingernail, that could stress you out, where you get some other, I'm not going to start annoying people, but I got a question for you. You said this before, and I'm just curious. Auditory processing disorder.
Yeah.
Nick, do you know what that is?
Yeah, it happened earlier. It's when you flip things around.
He's just repeating, isn't he?
Maybe he knows what he's talking about. So
It
Yeah,
used to be.
he calls me the doctor on the show.
It used to be called auditory dyslexia.
Yeah,
It's been renamed.
you hear it backwards. It's kind of like the joke I say all the time that I have 20/20 vision. I just can't see it. But there are a couple of biomarkers for MS. So the researchers are doing a very good job of trying to nail down the little proteins in a person's body to say, yeah, you have a higher. They don't say you're definitely going to develop MS. They say you have a higher probability of developing it if you have these biomarkers, and
Okay.
those biomarkers are passed from if through family. So it doesn't mean that if you have it, everyone will have it. It just means that you have a higher. If there's like 5 or 6 things that have to occur in order for it to turn on.
Okay.
So they're getting there. They're Terry shrugs and calls me the doctor because I pay attention to the research. Like I do the deep dive to the world research that's happening.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited. I'm excited for what they're doing. So yeah, that's my 2 cents there.
No, dude. Yeah, thank you. I'm just curious. Are you part of the podcast that's not real climbing?
I was on it, yes.
You were on it. You were not. Okay. I don't know if that was your thing or you did that on the side.
No, there's a lady in America called Ginny.
Okay.
She started it.
Okay.
And the reason why it's called That's Not Real Climbing is because it's kind of related to, at the moment, it's kind of related to competition climbing, which they say is not real climbing. And she brings on loads of guests to learn all about my level of competition climbing. Me and another athlete that's in the same category as me, we did a podcast together to talk about power climbing. But she invites loads of people on and learns all about how climbing works in competitions and things like that from the route setters or the organizers or the judges or the athletes. And it's pretty good. It's an insight into this like professional level of climbing, but she says that's not real climbing. I quite like the logo because it looks like somebody's got a leg missing, the actual
Oh, I
logo.
gotta see it now.
But it's not. It's just he's got his leg bent. But in my head, it's paraclimber. So,
Cool.
but yeah, she's got an Instagram account and a YouTube channel. You can watch all the podcasts on YouTube.
All right.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, I wanna test you. How many Great Britain nationals medals did you win?
Me,
Yeah, you.
I've got
Okay.
7 at the moment. I've got seven golds.
7 golds. What about silvers? What about bronze? I see a lot more.
Yeah, I think I've got 6 silver, 3 bronze, maybe something
I
like
don't
that.
know. I see a lot of medals on my little research here. And then you
You
got
got
2 world champs, and then you got 4 World Cup medals.
Yeah, yeah.
you got some catching up to do, Terry.
I guess.
No,
Gotta get on that
we need
wall.
more people. We like Jeremy's doing. We need a bigger Canadian team. American team's massive.
So you met Jeremy, right? I don't know if Nick knows that. You met
Yeah, I know
Jeremy, who
Jeremy.
was on our show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You met him where?
Um,
Did you guys meet in the
I
UK?
met I've chatted to him online, but
Oh,
I
it was online.
physically
Oh,
met him in Innsbruck in Austria
oh, cool. Okay.
this year.
Okay.
Yeah, there's kind of a subdivide between having all these World Cups. We've got all of Europe, and then we've got Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and America. And obviously, it's difficult for them to come over to us. And I will never go to America. It just won't work with my MS, with
Mm.
the jet lag and the time zone. So, yeah, there's a lot of factors with my classification as to whether you can even compete, turn up and do the event every month versus, and I could be wrong again, but if you're born with the part of your body missing or you have people that go with you, it's a lot easier to get through airports and public transport and stuff like that. All of that fatigues me. So I can't just fly in the day before and do a competition where a lot of other countries can. They just arrive the day before and then they compete. And I'm like, how the hell do you do that? I can't do that. I need at least 2 or 3 days to stabilize before I'm even ready to compete.
Yeah, and that's 2 or 3 days off the wall. That's 2 or 3 days not staying in the groove, so to speak. So that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's sort of, to me, climbing is just physio. It's just a form of movement that it's like playing, Twister. You've seen the game Twister with all the colored squares. Just
Mhm.
imagine that's on the wall and somebody goes left hand red, right hand blue. It's doing it that way instead of that way. And I don't
Makes a lot
fall
of sense.
over because you all fall over on Twister, but on the wall, you just hold on. So you're less likely to fall.
And you're an ambassador for a few things. Let me get my notes here. You're an ambassador for Rock Technologies Chalk? You're an
Yeah.
ambassador for the Troll Outdoors. Is that a store,
Yeah, that's a clothing company.
clothing company? That's cool. You're really out there. Like you're really a spokesperson for this climbing thing. And again, when we were talking last time, you were like giving me tips. You're like, "Oh, what's," and you were trying to coach me online. You're like, "So this part of your leg doesn't work. Have you tried this? Have you tried that?"
Yeah, I find it fascinating. And that's why I was asking Nick, who's like, he's in a wheelchair. And I was like, what kind of condition you've got? How does it affect you?
Mm.
So I have sensory problems down the left-hand side and it comes and goes. I have walking problems and it comes and goes. If I sleep one day and I'm active the next day, then I fatigue and sleep the next day and then I'm active next day. But if you've got a family and you've got kids and you've got this whole life in, then you can't manage the way I manage. If my stuff isn't working in the morning, then I just kill the day. Obviously,
Yeah.
you have things, external factors.
Yeah,
But
but my kids are in their 20s, so they don't
okay.
need me to do anything for them, day to day. And my wife's been great. So if I just wake up and text her and say, hey babe, I'm not feeling it today, I can shut it down if I need to. I like Terry, I carry a lot of guilt for doing that needlessly if I bail out on a day, but I think a lot of people that we've talked to feel that way. They feel like they're letting other people down when they try to take time for themselves, and they end up doing too much. Um,
How did your both of you? How did your friends and family take it when you got diagnosed?
Hmm.
well, Terry, if I may, it was actually harder for them. I had more of a reaction when I told them about being JC positive. So when I got my test results for the JC virus when I was on Tysabri, they were more worried about that than the MS. But they took it as you would. I also was retired immediately. Well, pretty immediately once I got my diagnosis. So it was hard for them to hear that I was not working anymore. Like I would not be able to do, anything because of the MS. So they were pretty shocked, but super supportive. Um, you know, they gave me they gave me and give me all the space I need to be as messy as I need to be. So that's a great way to say
Very messy and
it.
messy.
My family, just so you know, we won't talk about them extensively. We'll just say that when I got MS, it was almost a relief to them because it
Okay.
wasn't a tumor and it wasn't a stroke.
Yeah.
So, but who I was at the time, who I ended up getting married to and separated. Anyway, she cried like I was dying when she found out. And I had no idea what MS was. When the doctor goes, "Yes, you have MS," she just started crying and crying. And I looked at her, I'm like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And she's like, don't worry, you're okay." But she was crying. So I'm like, "Damn, what is going on?"
Yeah.
And then I was in denial after that because my first attack was the worst attack, and then I came off of it from prednisone from steroids, and
Okay.
then I kind of rode it. Ever since then, I was riding it. I never had a big attack like that. So to everyone's eyes, I was fine. I was okay. I came out of it, and I'm okay, even though I knew I wasn't okay. But everybody
How
has
do
a
you?
different story.
So I have this thing that if people have listened to other podcasts will know about this that I've been on. But when I first got diagnosed, I found it very difficult to explain to people why effectively my personality had changed.
Mm,
Um, so, or why I was snapping or getting angry or crying or getting frustrated or and throwing things and doing all this. And I was getting really frustrated with myself that I couldn't explain to people that that person on that particular day wasn't me. It was the MS. So I invented something which kind of seems to work nowadays, and I call him my angry bear. I invented an animal. I gave my MS a physical entity. So my MS is a bear. Um, So in the early days, when my friends who do know me, that have known me for years, were like, Nita, you didn't used to do this. So I'm like, yeah, but I'm not crying because I'm crying. My MS is crying. My bear is crying. My bear is angry. My bear is frustrated. I'm coming down the stairs and I can't do certain things in an order, and I can't do things in a logical order. And normally before MS I could. And I was like, why can't I do this anymore? I used to be able to do this. So I had to explain to people that my MS was a bear. And if it's frustrated, it's my neurological firing that's frustrating me. And on top of auditory processing disorder, I not only have brain fog and auditory processing disorder, I can't actually explain to you why I'm talking to you perfectly fine and I'm bawling my eyes out. And they were like, I says, if I just say my bear is crying, then you know it's the MS and it's not me. If I'm shouting at you and getting angry at you, then it's my bear's angry. It's not me. And eventually I managed to disassociate me from MS. And I can kind of use that now to understand when I'm doing things around the house. I'm like, why is this just not, my bear's having an off day. Do you know what I mean? And I had to disassociate from the MS. And that was the only way that I could come to terms with it. So when I'm having a good day, it's me. And when I'm having a bad day, it's my bear.
Totally get it. I like that. I
That's
totally
a
get,
very
dude.
that's a very interesting way to handle that.
It just allows me to, like, coming out of hospital and coming down the stairs and going in the kitchen and trying to make a cup of tea and not remembering how to make a cup of coffee. So I was like getting frustrated and angry, or losing my keys and not being able to find my keys. And I'm like, I always know, I know where everything is. My house might be a mess in some, like, you leave all your papers out, but you know exactly where everything is. And somebody tidies it up and you don't know where anything is. But nothing was getting tidied up and I couldn't find anything. But it was more the emotional side that I struggled with, is that I couldn't get through that brain fog. And I was getting really frustrated that I couldn't communicate because my brain fog, my brain doesn't, I don't physically have any words whirring around in my head. I just speak. And then when somebody talks to me and I look at them and they're like, why are you looking at me at that? And I'm like, because I don't know what you said. I don't understand what you said. Well, why don't you answer me? I was like, because there's no words in my head. Can't answer you if there's no words in my head because I've got brain fog. And they're like, well, what's brain fog? I was like, my bear just doesn't have a brain. So I had to try and work out a way of not getting frustrated and upset.
Mm-hmm.
And did you figure it out?
Yeah, I just blame it on the bear.
Oh,
And then calm down. And then when my bear starts working again, I'm fine. So and everything starts working.
I just made I don't know if I told you this, Nick, I just made a therapist appointment with a new therapist that I met. And because my big challenge is I get frustrated and in the moment I can't get out of it.
Yep.
And I know I'm going through it. So I tend to go, I'm really tired right now. Please just give me some time. And that's, and it took me a long time to do that. Before I would just be like tantrums. I'm like, why am I going through these tantrums? And I realize I'm frustrated. I have no control.
Can you still?
I'm scared.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
and that's why I wanted to come on, because I can speak to two other people that have got MS. Can you still remember you before MS? Your
Yes.
emotional state, not your physical state, the way you did things. Imagine your body still works, but the way that you would go to work, or the way that you would go and do the shopping, or the way that you would look after the kids, how you were before MS and how you are now. For me, it's different.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would
Oh
agree with
yeah.
that. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I
Yep.
can't explain that because I don't know. I mean, in my neurology appointment, I says, can I have a new MRI, please? And they weren't, why? I says, because I didn't have one since 2009. How do I know where the lesions are? How do I know if anything's changed? Because over here, you don't get them unless you have another attack. I went, I need to know if these things aren't working is because something else has changed internally. I said, I don't know what's going on inside me.
That's wild.
So,
I hear that all the time. Like we talk to the people, all of our guests they're from all over the place, and it just baffles. Like without question, I get reminders. Hey, it's time for your yearly MRI.
Mm.
Like it's like,
Mm.
whew, I could not imagine going through going through MS and just not knowing, not being able to see it. I feel so lucky that every time I've had something happen, I've gotten an MRI and my doctor says, "See that lesion right there? That's what's causing it." So,
Well, this is
Wow.
it. You see, I was in my neurology appointment and I was like, can I have another MRI? And they're like, well, we can give you one, but we can't tell you what that lesion has and hasn't stopped doing. There's nothing in MS that says that this thing here causes this arm not to work. There's no correlation. And I was like, I like my hands have started going numb. And I
Huh.
says, my hands have started going numb. And I says, they're like dead. I said, how do I know that's not MS? And they're like, even if I gave you an MRI, we can't tell you whether that was MS or not. Because that we can't, there's no connection with an MRI apart from this other medical test that you do to analyze your nervous system, or your whole
Yeah.
body gets analyzed, and they tell you, I don't know what it's called, but they tell you that this isn't working because of this test. That's not an MRI. An MRI is just going to show you whether
Mhm.
lesions have come up or not, but it's not going to tell
Yeah.
you how it affects you.
I
No,
totally
yeah, they
understand that. Yeah.
I get I should be clear, I get very generalized statements like it's in the region that most likely controls the issue that you're having. Like they don't say, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I should have been more clear about that.
that's all
But
right. Do you guys have lesions anywhere?
oh yeah. Like a leper up here. I got
Oh yeah.
spots all over the place.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
and
me too.
I have two inactive lesions on my spine, so they're not really a factor, they say, but there's damage there. They're
Mm.
not active anymore. Um, but yeah, I have a few up here.
I have an aggressive one. The last neurologist I saw, where I did the MRI, he says, "Yeah, you have a lesion that seems to be aggressive." What does that mean? I don't know. I know, I know, I know, I know.
He's got an emotion.
And to be honest with you, I haven't seen a neurologist in maybe 9 years. I
Mm.
haven't done an MRI in 9 years, but before that, I did many MRIs. I saw a neurologist all the time, and nothing has changed. I stopped taking drugs, which I'm going to ask you if you're on anything right now, any DMTs. I'm curious because I don't know if I asked you that before. But that's why I'm on Ocrevus now, because my neurologist said, listen, what do you want to do? You have a aggressive lesion that's happening. You know, you need to do something. Might as well do something than nothing. And my big thing was, I'm going to upkeep my nutrition because I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm managing through it and I'm coasting through this MS. But as soon as he said to me, you got an aggressive lesion happening, my other half, she's like, shit, you got to do something. So I don't want to feel like I'm just giving up and not doing anything. So at this point in my life, yes, I'm a yes guy. Like, sure, let's do it. Whatever. Like I'm
They did,
okay.
Terry, they didn't give you an MRI before they started you on Ocrevus?
They did. That's the when they saw the aggressive.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't have one in 9 years.
Well, I mean, and then I had one.
Oh, okay. I got you.
When I
All right.
moved to this town, I looked for a neurologist and yada, yada, yada. We get it.
Okay.
So I decided not to have DMDs, disease modifying drugs, from our medical organizations called the NHS. At the time, I was fairly light. I don't effectively have any fat in my body. I'm like pretty lean. There's nothing in my body really. There's very little fat in my body. And one of the reasons I decided not to have DMDs is because they said to me, if you take your DMDs, it may delay the onset of an attack in the future if you ever have one. So you want me to take steroids or Avonox or whatever it is,
Avonex.
and it may delay the onset of an attack in the future if you ever have one. So it's not going to, there's no cure, and you don't know whether it's going to work, but you're going to make me sick every 5 days because you're going to make me take these drugs.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, 14 years ago, I came across something called low dose naproxen, which is in America,
LDN.
naltrexone,
Yep. Yep.
LDN. And I've been on LDN since day dot. Now over here, I can't have it. I have to pay for it. It's actually weirdly been clinically trialed and given to heroin addicts at 50 milligrams. So
Yep.
they get it for free. I get it shipped from the States to Scotland, and then Scotland ship it to me for 3.5 milligram tablets. I take one 3.5 milligram tablet a day. I have amitriptyline, which deals with the spasms and the pain that I get at
Yep.
night.
Yep.
And I've never not been on LDN, but LDN is a really weird thing. I don't know if you guys have been on it, because the very first time I started taking it, I felt like somebody had got hold of me around the waist and was pushing me down the street. And I was like, weird. And I was like, what is the side effects? And they went, funny dreams. That's the only side effect. And I says, well, what does it do? And they said it kind of, the way they explained it to me is it kind of halted what was happening, is the way I understood it. Now, I'm not sure if that's true, but I've never had a relapse. Nowadays, the documentation that I get says that CBD is complementary meds with naltrexone. They try and, I can't have it because I'm a competition climber, so I can't have the CBD. But the pharmacies say if you're on naltrexone, then you want to be on CBD as well. And over here, they've legally approved marijuana. It's called Sativex. It's a legal medicine. It's more
It's here too.
expensive than if you got it illegally, but it's legal. So you could get Sativex. Now, the only way I can get LDN is by just sending this pharmacy my neurology letter, and they're going, yeah, you can have it. But it's actually from America. And maybe Terry knows, Nick knows more about it than I do. But that's all I take is LDN.
Yeah, that was early on. That was one of the options that I had asked about, and it we talked about it, and for me at the time, it was not it was a choice, but it was not the best option for me at the time, so I didn't go with it. But the same thing, they do give it to persons who are dealing with heroin addiction also in the States too. So
yeah.
So
But when we have I don't know, because I obviously don't have an American Google, I have a British Google. So we have a website called LDN Research Trust. And you can go to LDN Research Trust, and you can look at all the people that take LDN, Parkinson's, cancer, like the amount of people that are taking naltrexone.
Yeah.
Now there's a big difference between 50 milligrams for a heroin addict in place of methadone versus 3.5. That's the maximum you can have with MS.
Yeah.
You start at 0.5. You can start on liquid. And you start on liquid, and basically you kind of up it by 0.5, and you find that balance, because you can basically go hyper or under. If you take too much, you go hyperactive, and if you take too little, you go underactive. But yeah, it works for EDS, and it works for quite a lot of things. But it doesn't have any side effects.
Let me ask you a question. What's your secret in how to look young? I know your age, and you look younger than Nick and me. Sorry, and me.
I think it's having Asian skin.
Whatever, dude.
It's a natural sun protector, so you don't age.
Whatever.
I don't know. I am aging a bit, but
you started
yeah,
climbing at 36. You know what I mean? You started climbing at 36, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, so is that 3 years ago? Like, I'm not sucking up or anything. I'm serious. I don't know what it is.
This is it. Before I got MS, I was sporty at school, but I wasn't doing any sports from like 22 to 36. Literally, it's like I said to Terry before on the previous podcast, I said to him, I says, what do you do when you're born? You crawl, you run, and you climb. And you finish school, and what do you stop doing? You stop climbing, you stop running. But climbing, as I terminize it, climbing is an adult playground. It's for adults that kids come and get involved in, and you get really pissed off that this 5-year-old goes and runs up this boulder or this climb, and you're like, that's not fair, I'm going to do it. And then you end up projecting with the 5-year-old to get up the wall. And he's half your size or a quarter of your size, and you can do the sport and the puzzle with the kids, but it's actually an adult playground. It's designed for adults.
I climbed here today right before the show.
Did
I
you?
climbed up getting on my chair.
Exactly. And that's what I said to Terry before, that when I fall now, I fall in climbing moves. I naturally fall using what I would normally do if I was climbing, or when I'm trying to get out of chairs or get up out of saggy sofas and stuff like that, is I'll just grab things and pull like I would if I was climbing. It helps me in daily life now, because it's
if
natural to put your hands in certain positions.
if I have a grab bar in front of me, if I extend my legs, I extend it, I can grab the bar and pull myself up to standing up.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time without anyone seeing. Like when I have to change, I go to a specific place I have in my home. I sit in front of there and I pull myself up, and I'm standing for a good 7 seconds, and I put whatever I have to, and then I go back down slowly. But I
Yeah.
pull myself up. I don't stand up.
Yeah, but that's what I do.
No, I know. When you say that, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I do too.
Yeah,
know?
that's what I'm saying though. Even
don't-
though climbing's relatively new,
Yeah.
it's natural. Like whether you're going to climb a ladder, climb the ladder into the attic, whether you're going to climb a tree, whether you're going to stand on, I don't know, your trailer or whatever, you're always climbing.
Mhm.
But what you do in climbing is you learn how to fall, and you learn how to fall and learn how to grab things. It's just a controlled environment. So it does help you in everyday life. It's just, we used to call it mountaineering and climb Everest, but it's always been there. It's just now they turned it into what we call plastic climbing. You make multicolored holes and they put them on a wall, and it's more popular in the last 10 years than it was last decade.
So wall climbing or rock climbing, same thing?
Rock climbing is climbing,
Okay.
but prior to gyms being invented.
Okay.
So there's a couple of 3 famous climbers in UK around the early to mid 80s wanted to do some climbing. So they went in their cellar and they put a load of ply on the wall, and they put loads of strips of wood and blocks of holds and stuff on the wall. And they learned, and they used to just do pull-ups, thinking that pull-ups was going to make them a better climber. But over the years, these walls started being invented in people's cellars, and they started training on these walls, which were now called bouldering walls.
Yes.
But during the 2000s, and obviously the rest of this decade, people turned them into gyms. Now, when a climbing wall was first invented, there weren't any crash pads. They just run over to the gymnasium, get the gymnastics crash pads, and drag them onto the bouldering wall.
Makes sense.
Now they've invented bouldering pads, and you stick them on your back, look like a turtle, and go and find a rock outside and just go and fall off the rock. But climbing before was like climbing Everest or doing multi-pitch or climbing really big rocks or Yosemite or whatever it is. That's what climbing was, but it's not anymore. It's plastic climbing, as we call it. Competition climbing is like plastic climbing. I'm a plastic climber. You put me on a rock outside, I can't climb because there's no coloured hold for me to hold. I have to work out where the hold is and then trust it.
So what's next for you? What's coming up? What do you got on your plate for as far as climbing goes?
Oh, I'm having a rest. Finally, my season's over. I'm having a rest for a couple of months and then starts again.
You were sick last week.
Yeah, I've been sick. So hopefully just getting back and doing some work and coaching and trying to trying to build awareness for paraclimbing basically, and try and raise awareness for it a bit more. I'll coach anybody. If a Canadian or an American walks up to me in UK, I'll teach them how to climb and then send them over to your country so they can get selected. But yeah, just
resting, huh?
just resting and
Good.
probably doing some household stuff, and then
Good.
catching up with friends, and yeah, and then doing stuff, just climbing for enjoyment, not for a particular reason. It's,
There it is.
I gotta ask before she goes, because I know a lot of people are gonna ask me, where in the UK is she from? And I know where, but I just like you to say it.
there you go.
Please. Where are you from in the UK?
I live in Derby, which
Derby.
is north of Birmingham in the Midlands.
Okay.
It's not Derby, it's Derby.
Did I say Derby? Derby.
Derby.
Derby. Mummy. Derby. There you go.
Derby. Yeah.
MS Warrior, paraclimber, Anita, it's been a pleasure. We're so glad you
Thank you
took
very
time to
much.
be with us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Anita,
very
thank you
welcome.
so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm sure we'll bring you back on. I'm sure we'll talk again.
No worries. Have a good evening, guys.
You as
Thank
well. Take care.
Thank you. So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4 letter T below 0.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are, for Nix, it's Nix_V713. Or for Terry, it's What's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.